Most people never realize they are being studied. They move through life assuming everyone else is acting honestly, reacting naturally, revealing themselves by accident. That belief is the first weakness, because the truth is quieter, colder, and far less fair. People are always watching you, measuring you, testing what they can take, what they can push, and what you will tolerate. Not consciously, not maliciously, most of the time, but instinctively. And if you don't understand how that instinct works, you become easy to guide, easy to pressure, easy to frame. This is not about becoming cruel. It's about becoming unreadable, because the moment someone can read you, they can move you. Think about the last time someone got under your skin, not with insults, not with force, but with implication, with timing, with a look, with silence. That wasn't random. People manipulate in subtle ways because subtlety bypasses resistance. Direct attacks trigger defense. Indirect pressure creates compliance. The most common lie people believe is that manipulation looks dramatic, that it's loud, obvious, evil. It isn't. Manipulation is calm, friendly, reasonable. It often sounds like concern. I'm just being honest with you. I'm only saying this because I care. I wouldn't tell anyone else this. Those phrases are not harmless. They are positioning tools. They place you below the speaker. They frame you as unaware. They establish authority without asking permission. And most people accept it immediately because they want approval. They want clarity. They want to be understood. That desire is where control begins. If you need people to understand you, you will always explain too much. And the person who explains too much gives away leverage. Silence is power because it forces the other person to fill the gap. And when they fill the gap, they reveal themselves. Watch how people react when you don't respond right away. Some become nervous, some become irritated, some overcompensate. Each reaction tells you exactly where their pressure point is. This is how you outsmart people, not by speaking more, but by observing longer. Most manipulation relies on emotion, guilt, urgency, fear of loss, fear of rejection. Notice how often someone tries to rush you. Decide now. This won't be available later. If you don't do this, something bad will happen. Urgency is rarely about you. It's about preventing you from thinking. When someone pushes urgency, slow down. When someone pushes emotion, become neutral. When someone pushes explanation, become brief. Cold does not mean cruel. Cold means controlled. There is a reason the calm person in the room always feels dangerous. They are not reacting. They are choosing. People reveal their intentions through patterns, not words. Words are cheap. Patterns are expensive. Anyone can say they respect you. Few will respect your boundaries when they don't benefit. The moment you say no is the moment you learn who someone really is. Watch closely. Do they pressure you? Do they mock you? Do they guilt you? Do they withdraw affection? Each response is data, and data is power. The most effective manipulators don't dominate. They position. They let you speak first. They mirror your values. They agree just enough to lower your guard. Then they nudge. Just a little. A suggestion, a doubt, a comparison. They never tell you what to think. They guide you to think it was your idea. That's the difference between control and influence. To protect yourself, you must separate emotion from information. Ask yourself, what is actually being said here? What outcome benefits them? What reaction are they trying to create in me? If you feel confused, rushed, or emotionally charged, stop. Those states are fertile ground for manipulation. Calm destroys manipulation. Because calm allows analysis. Here's the part most people won't admit. Sometimes you were manipulated because you want to be, because believing the story is more comfortable than seeing the truth. People stay in unfair dynamics because clarity would require action. And action is uncomfortable, so they tolerate, they rationalize, they wait. That waiting costs them leverage. Power is not about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself so no one else can. When you stop oversharing, people listen more. When you stop reacting, people reveal more. When you stop seeking approval, people adjust. You don't need to intimidate. You don't need to threaten. You don't need to dominate. You need to be unpredictable. Predictability is what makes people easy to manage. If you always explain, always forgive, always comply, always react the same way, people learn exactly how to move you. Change the pattern, respond less, delay answers, ask questions instead of defending, let silence sit longer than is comfortable. The person who can tolerate discomfort controls the interaction. This is not about becoming cold to everyone. It's about reserving warmth for those who prove they deserve it. Trust should be slow. Access should be earned. Information should be rationed. Not everyone needs to know your plans. Not everyone deserves your vulnerability. Not everyone is on your side just because they sound supportive. Pay attention to who benefits when you doubt yourself. Pay attention to who feels threatened when you grow quiet. Pay attention to who only shows up when they need something. Clarity changes relationships, not because you change, but because you stop being easy to use. And when that happens, some people will leave. Let them. Their departure is confirmation, not loss. You don't outsmart people by becoming smarter than them. You outsmart them by becoming harder to read, harder to rush, and harder to control. The moment you stop assuming fairness exists, you stop being surprised by human behavior. And surprise is what keeps people weak. Stay calm, stay observant, stay deliberate. That's where real power lives. Manipulation is not always obvious. Sometimes it's a compliment. Sometimes it's a question. Sometimes it's the careful silence after your words. And if you don't notice it, you'll act in a way that benefits someone else without even realizing it. People study weakness the way predators study prey. Not for cruelty, not for malice, for opportunity. Notice the ones who never apologize for their mistakes. Notice the ones who always shift blame, subtly, invisibly. Notice the ones who smile when you fail, quietly but knowingly. Those are the people who have learned the power of positioning, the power of patience, the power of restraint. They wait for you to expose yourself. They wait for you to react emotionally. They wait for you to show trust too early. And you do because you were taught fairness matters, because you were taught kindness protects you, because you were taught that honesty is a shield. It isn't. Honesty is visible. Kindness is readable. Fairness is predictable. Predictability is where they strike. So watch, wait, listen. Every word, every pause, every hesitation you make is data. Every glance, every twitch, every micro-expression is a map. And if you hand it to someone, they can navigate you. Your goal is not to hurt them. Your goal is not to manipulate. Your goal is to become unreadable. Cold does not mean cruel. It means deliberate, measured, impossible to anticipate. The people who are easiest to outmaneuver are the ones who react immediately, the ones who over-explain, the ones who justify, the ones who plead. Do not be that person. Instead, let the world rush, let urgency pass, let emotions spike, and then move on your terms. Consider how often people speak not to inform, but to position themselves. A joke, a story, a question. Each is a test. Each measures your patience, your reaction, your need for approval. The cleverest manipulators are invisible. You never see them coming. You only feel the consequences. Your job is to remove those consequences, to act before they can act, to think before they push, to choose before they pressure. And when you do, you gain freedom. Freedom from expectation, freedom from influence, freedom from someone else's timeline. Every interaction becomes a puzzle, every conversation a negotiation, every pause a weapon. If you choose to wield it correctly, people will test you without knowing it. They will push limits unconsciously. They will ask questions that sound simple but hide agendas. Do not be reactive. Do not explain. Do not justify. Silence is a mirror. It forces the manipulator to show themselves, and what they reveal is your advantage. Your advantage is always information, not strength, not charm, not rage. Information. Because the more you see, the less they can touch you. And this is the cruel truth. Some people will resent you simply for being calm. Some will despise you for being unreadable. Some will leave frustrated because you no longer perform for their benefit. Let them go. Their departure is clarity. Real power is invisible. It is patience. It is observation. It is control over yourself. The moment you stop needing approval, the moment you stop caring who is watching, the moment you stop reacting to the world's illusions, that is the moment you become dangerous in the way most people cannot measure. And danger in silence is more potent than noise, because the silent observer is always ready. The calm strategist always wins. The unreadable mind is always free. Remember, people are always testing, always measuring, always positioning. You cannot stop them. You can only be impossible to read. And impossible to read is unassailable. This is your advantage. Guard it, sharpen it, use it silently, deliberately, without emotion. Because the world rewards the predictable, the visible, the understandable, and that world will leave you behind. If you want to outsmart everyone, stop being visible, stop being predictable, stop being human, at least in ways that are easy to exploit. The deeper you retreat into observation, the calmer you become, the more powerful your presence becomes, even if you speak nothing at all. By now, you should understand something uncomfortable. Most people are not consciously manipulative. They don't wake up planning to control you. They simply follow instinct, and instinct is selfish. People move toward comfort, toward advantage, toward whoever gives them the most leverage with the least resistance. That is why niceness is often punished, and why firmness is often respected. The world does not respond to what is fair. It responds to what is enforced. Watch how quickly respect appears when you stop explaining yourself. Watch how tone changes when you stop seeking agreement. Watch how behavior shifts when you no longer react the way you used to. This is not coincidence. This is recalibration. Every social interaction is a hierarchy test. Even the ones disguised as kindness. Even the ones disguised as jokes. Even the ones disguised as concern. Especially those. A joke at your expense is not about humor. It is a probe. A way to see if you will swallow disrespect to maintain harmony. If you laugh it off, the line moves. If you explain why it bothered you, the line moves. If you react emotionally, the line moves. The only thing that stops the line is calm refusal, or silence. Silence is misunderstood. People think it means weakness. It doesn't. Silence creates uncertainty, and uncertainty makes people cautious. When you don't react, they don't know where they stand. When they don't know where they stand, they reveal more. They talk more. They justify more. They expose motive. That is when you see the truth. Pay attention to who becomes uncomfortable around your calm. Those people relied on your predictability. They benefited from your reactions. They used your openness as a map. You didn't change, you just stopped being accessible. Here is the part most people never grasp. Power is not taken. It is granted, often unconsciously, by the person who wants peace more than leverage. If you fear conflict, you will always lose negotiations you don't realize you're in. If you fear being misunderstood, you will always overshare. If you fear being disliked, you will always compromise too early. Fear makes people transparent. Remove fear, and you remove access. That doesn't mean becoming aggressive. Aggression is loud, predictable, easy to manage. Calm firmness is different. It doesn't argue. It doesn't justify. It doesn't chase resolution. It waits. The person who can wait controls the tempo. The person who controls the tempo controls the outcome. This is why desperation is the most expensive emotion. It collapses leverage instantly. People sense it. They don't need to name it. They feel it. And when they do, they slow down. They withhold. They extract more. Never negotiate from urgency. Never reveal how much you need something. Never show the full shape of your desire. Desire exposed is leverage surrendered. Instead, become selective. Become ambiguous. Let people wonder where they stand with you. Not in a cruel way, in a disciplined way. Boundaries do not need explanations. Explanations invite negotiation. Negotiation invites erosion. A boundary stated once, calmly, and enforced silently is more powerful than 1,000 emotional speeches. And yes, some people will call you cold. Some will call you distant. Some will accuse you of changing. They are right. You changed the rules, and they were benefiting from the old ones. The most dangerous people are not loud. They are not intimidating. They are not constantly asserting dominance. They are calm, consistent, hard to read. They give little. They observe much. They move late, but precisely. They do not seek control. They simply cannot be controlled. And once you reach that state, people either respect you or remove themselves. Both outcomes are wins, because clarity is power, and power when quiet lasts. This is where the illusion breaks. This is where you stop playing the game unconsciously and start choosing every move with intention. There is a moment when people realize they no longer have access to you. They don't announce it. They don't confront it directly. They feel it. The replies get shorter. The tone changes. The comfort disappears. And that's when the real tests begin. People don't react badly when they lose control. They react badly when they lose influence. They will probe. They will escalate. They will try guilt, nostalgia, urgency, confusion. Why are you different lately? Did I do something wrong? You're acting cold. You've changed. These are not questions. They are attempts to restore the old dynamic. Understand this clearly. When you withdraw emotional availability, you create imbalance. And imbalance forces behavior. Most people are not prepared to operate without leverage. So when it disappears, they panic quietly. This is where discipline matters. If you explain yourself now, you reopen the door. If you reassure them, you hand the power back. If you overcorrect, you signal fear of loss. Do not. Calm distance is not punishment, it is information control. You are not disappearing, you are becoming unavailable to manipulation. The strongest position in any interaction is the ability to walk away mentally before you ever leave physically. When someone senses that you don't need the outcome, their strategies collapse, because all manipulation relies on one assumption: that you want something more than they do. Attention, approval, connection, resolution. Remove that assumption and the structure fails. This is why emotional restraint feels threatening to people. It denies them feedback, it denies them reassurance, it denies them control, and denies them control. And denial forces exposure. Watch how people behave when you stop feeding the dynamic. Some become aggressive. Some become overly kind. Some disappear. Some reveal resentment they've been hiding for years. None of this is accidental. You didn't create these reactions. You uncovered them. Here's the part few people are willing to accept. Withdrawal is not weakness. It is filtration. Those who respected you remain. Those who benefited from you leave. Those who tried to shape you become uncomfortable. This is alignment correcting itself. Power is not loud. It doesn't announce boundaries. It doesn't threaten consequences. It simply changes access. You don't explain why you're unavailable. You don't justify why you've pulled back. You let the new reality speak for itself, because people respect what they can't predict and fear what they can't influence. Silence after a provocation is not avoidance. It is dominance. Delay after pressure is not indecision. It is control. Refusal without explanation is not cruelty. It is clarity. And clarity is terrifying to those who thrived in ambiguity. By now, you should feel the shift. You are no longer reacting. You are no longer chasing understanding. You are no longer negotiating your boundaries internally. You decide. You observe, you move late, but deliberately. This is the level where manipulation stops working. Not because people stop trying, but because you stop responding in ways they can use. The illusion most people live in is that power is external. Money, status, strength, volume. It isn't. Power is the ability to remain unmoved when someone is trying to move you. And once you have that, you don't need to dominate anyone. Your presence does it for you. At this stage, something subtle has changed. You no longer feel the need to be ahead. You no longer feel the urge to correct. You no longer feel the urge to correct. That absence is not emptiness. It is control. Most people mistake authority for dominance. They think power announces itself. They think it demands attention. Real authority does neither. It settles. It enters a room without effort. It speaks only when necessary. And when it does, it isn't questioned. Because authority doesn't argue. It doesn't persuade. It doesn't chase alignment. It assumes it. This is what happens when you stop performing for the world. When you no longer rush to explain yourself, people listen differently. When you no longer react emotionally, people adjust instinctively. When you no longer seek validation, people begin to measure themselves against you. Not because you ask them to, but because uncertainty reorders hierarchies. Humans look for stability. They align themselves with whatever feels grounded, whatever feels immovable. And nothing is more immovable than a person who has already accepted all outcomes. This is the level where silence becomes unmistakable. Not awkward, not passive, but final. You don't threaten consequences. You don't warn people what you'll do. You don't negotiate respect. You simply remove access, and access, once removed, changes everything. People behave best when they know they can lose you. Not emotionally, not dramatically, but decisively. Here is the truth most people never reach. You do not need to control others to be beyond control. You only need to be complete without them. That completeness makes manipulation impossible, because manipulation requires hunger, and hunger is visible. Once you stop needing reassurance, stop needing closure, stop needing approval, the entire dynamic flips. Now, others hesitate, others explain, others overthink, others reveal, and you simply observe. This is not cruelty. This is not arrogance. This is alignment with reality. The world does not reward purity of intention. It rewards clarity of boundary. You have learned to speak less, to watch more, to move when it matters. You have learned that restraint is louder than reaction, and distance is more instructive than argument. You don't dominate conversations, you end them. You don't seek understanding, you allow it selectively. You don't demand respect, you become expensive to disrespect. And at this point, something final becomes clear. Most people are not your enemy. They are simply unguarded, unaware, acting on impulse. You don't need to fight them. You don't need to expose them. You don't need to win against them. You just need to remain unmoved. Because the calm observer always outlasts the emotional strategist. The patient mind always outmaneuvers the reactive one, and the unreadable presence is never cornered. This is where the illusion ends. Not with confrontation, not with victory, but with independence. You are no longer part of the game. You see it, you understand it, and because of that, it no longer controls you. That is the quiet power. That is the final position. And once you reach it, you don't go back.